20 plants that look almost magical. Dona Marlene always said that nature was the best medicine. I lived in a simple house in the countryside, with a yard full of plants that looked like something out of a fairy tale. One day, his 12-year-old granddaughter Clara arrived from the big city to spend the holidays. Clara was curious, but found everything a little boring at first. "Grandma, why do you have so many plants? Isn't it easier to buy medicine at the pharmacy?" Clara asked, looking at the vases spread across the balcony. Dona Marlene laughed, took a green leaf and rubbed it between her fingers. "Ah, my granddaughter, these plants do things that not even doctors can explain." "Want to see?" Clara crossed her arms, a little suspicious. "Like what?" "Like this one," said the grandmother, pointing to a little plant with purple leaves. "It's the Santa Maria herb. If you rub it on mosquito bites, the itching goes away immediately." Clara's eyes widened. "Serious?" "Of course. And there's more. Look at this other one, the sleeper. If you touch it, the leaves close immediately. It looks like magic." Clara ran to touch the leaves. They closed slowly, as if they were sleeping. The girls squealed in surprise. "Ow! Why does she do this?" "They say it's to protect themselves." "As if it were a scared animal," explained Dona Marlene, smiling. "And this one, the sensitive one, does the same thing." Clara was fascinated. In the following days, he didn't stop asking about the plants. Dona Marlene, happy as life, showed them one by one. "This is aloe vera," said the grandmother, breaking off a fat leaf. "The gel inside heals burns and leaves hair shiny." "And that red flower?" asked Clara, pointing to a vase with vibrant petals. "It's the blood flower. They say it wards off bad energy. People put it on their doorstep." "You?" Clara grimaced. "It looks like real blood." Dona Marlene laughed. "It's not blood, silly. It's just a pretty flower." One day, Clara woke up with a swollen foot. "I had stepped on a thorn in the yard." "Grandma, it hurts," he complained, limping to the kitchen. "Calm down, let's use the arnica. It deflates and takes away the pain quickly." Dona Marlene crumpled up some sheets and made a paste. Clara stared, amazed. "How do you know all this?" "My grandmother taught me. And now I teach you." Clara spent the rest of her vacation learning about plants. He discovered that mint freshens breath, chamomile soothes, and wormwood keeps fleas away. He even helped his grandmother make lemongrass tea for the neighbor who had a stomach ache. "Grandma, I think I'll take some seedlings to town," said Clara on the last day. "Good idea. This way you will never need medicine for everything again." Clara hugged her grandmother, happy. "Thank you for showing me that nature is magical." Dona Marlene kissed her granddaughter's forehead. "The magic is in paying attention, my dear. And now you know." On the way back home, Clara took a bag with nightshade, aloe, and mint seedlings. "I couldn't wait to show it to my friends at school. After all, who wouldn't be impressed by plants that seem to have superpowers?" And so, between laughter and discoveries, Clara learned that magic was right there, in her grandmother's backyard, waiting to be seen. Clara arrived home with a full heart. The apartment seemed emptier after the days in the countryside. But the bag with the seedlings was there, weighing down the backpack. "Mom, look what I brought," he shouted, running to the kitchen. The mother was washing dishes. He turned around with wet hands. "What is this, daughter?" "Magical plants. Grandma taught me." The mother dried her hands on the cloth and took the bag. He took an aloe seedling. "I know that one. My grandmother used it for burns. And this one," Clara showed the sleeper, "closes its leaves when we touch it." The mother's eyes widened. "Serious? I've never seen it. Do you want to see?" Clara lightly ran her finger over the plant. The little leaves closed slowly, as if they were sleeping. "Ow!" The mother laughed. "It looks like something from a movie." Clara smiled. "And there's more. Mint is good for headaches, lemongrass for stomach aches." The mother shook her head. "Your grandmother always knew these things. I should have paid more attention. Now I'm good," Clara said, proudly. "I'm going to plant everything on the balcony." "But it's not sunny here all day," the mother reminded her. Clara thought for a while. "So I take care of them morning and afternoon. And if one dies, I'll bring another one from Grandma." Her mother gave her a hug. "You look just like her." At school, Clara couldn't wait to tell. At recess, he gathered his friends near the water fountain. Guys, look. She took a mint seedling from her pocket. What is that? Lucas asked, suspicious. Mint. Smell. Clara held out the sheet. The friends approached. Lucas sniffed and grimaced. Wow, what a strong smell. It's good for headaches, Clara explained. And this one? She picked up the sleeper. Close the leaves when we touch. Lie, said Sophia, crossing her arms. Clara smiled and touched the plant. The leaves closed instantly. Wow. Everyone shouted. How does she do that? Asked Pedro, fascinated. Grandma said it was to protect herself, Clara replied. Like a superpower. I want one. Lucas extended his hand. Me too. Sophia jumped. Clara laughed. Calm down. I'm going to bring seedlings for everyone. But you have to be careful, okay? I'll take care of it. Pedro promised. At the end of the day, Clara already had a list of friends wanting plants. Even the science teacher asked for a sleeper to show in class. When she arrived home, Clara went straight to the porch. He placed the seedlings in pots, watered them carefully and spoke softly. Now you are mine. Let's grow together. And so, between the city and the countryside, the magical plants began to spread a little charm throughout Clara's world. Clara woke up the next day with the sun shining on her face. He jumped out of bed and ran to the balcony. The seedlings were there, quiet, but with a different shine. Good morning, girls, he whispered, touching a leaf on the bed. The plant shook slightly, as if responding. At school, Clara could barely pay attention in class. I only thought about the plants. At recess, Pedro and Sophia ran to her. And there. Has it grown any more? Pedro asked, peeking at Clara's backpack. Not yet, but look. Clara opened her backpack and showed a small vase. I brought one for you to see up close. Sophia's eyes widened. Does it close even when we touch it? Of course. Clara laughed and lightly poked a leaf. The others closed immediately. Incredible. Pedro almost dropped the vase with so much excitement. SHHH. Clara held the vase. If the director sees it, she'll want to take it to her office too. The three laughed. At the end of class, the science teacher called Clara. Clara, did you bring the sleeper you promised? Yes, I did, Aunt. Clara took a larger vase from her bag. The teacher smiled. Excellent. Let's show it to the whole class tomorrow. Can you explain how it works? Clara blushed, but nodded. I can, yes. On the way out, Lucas appeared with a paper in his hand. Clara, my mother said we could plant it in the backyard. Look at the drawing I made. It was a huge flower bed, full of magical plants. Wow! Clara exclaimed. We are going to need a lot of land. And lots of water. Sophia completed. And be very careful, Pedro recalled. Clara looked at her friends, happy. Then it's agreed. Let's make a magical garden. And so, between laughter and plans, the little plants gained another little piece of the world to enchant. Clara woke up early the next day. The sun hadn't even come up yet, but she was already standing, looking at the vase and the bed on the table. Will she move today? He murmured, touching a leaf. The plant didn't move. Clara sighed. Okay, I'll wait. At school, the room was full of murmurs. Everyone wanted to see the sleeping place. The teacher placed the vase on the table and signaled to Clara. You can explain, Clara. She cleared her throat and began. So, the nightshade closes its leaves when we touch it. It's like a reflection. She does this to protect herself. From what? Lucas asked, curious. From animals that want to eat her, Clara replied. Or strong wind. But doesn't she feel pain? Sophia frowned. No. Clara laughed. It's just a scare. Then it opens again. The teacher took a pencil and lightly touched a sheet of paper. Pluck. The leaves closed instantly. Wow. The class shouted. It's saw. Clara smiled. It's real magic. At recess, Pedro came running. Clara, can we start the garden now? Today. Lucas jumped. My mother already bought the land. And I brought sunflower seeds. Sophia showed a small package. They grow fast. Clara looked up at the sky. It was cloudy. Will it rain? Even better. Pedro laughed. We don't need to water. The four ran to Lucas's backyard. The flower bed was already marked with white pebbles, just like the drawing. Clara took the shovel and started digging. Let's plant the nightshade here, in the middle, for everyone to see. And the sunflowers next door, Sophia pointed out, to provide shade. And the carnivorous plant? Lucas asked. Clara hesitated. It's better to leave it in the toilet. She eats insects, remember? But what if a mosquito lands on it? Pedro's eyes widened. Then she eats. Lucas made a biting gesture. Everyone laughed. While they were planting, Clara looked at her friends. You know what's cool? We are creating a place of our own. A magical place, Sophia added. And full of surprises, Pedro said. Lucas took a handful of dirt and let it drip between his fingers. Tomorrow we will see the plants growing. Clara smiled. Or moving. And so, with hands dirty and hearts full, they finished the first day of the garden. As the sun began to set, the leaves of the nightshade glowed golden, as if they knew they had found a new home. The four of them stayed there, sitting on the grass, looking at the garden. The wind ruffled the leaves of the ottoman lightly, as if it were dozing. Will it close at night? Pedro poked a leaf with his finger. I think so, Clara replied. She does this when it gets dark. Like a plant superpower, Lucas joked. Sophia laughed. Or maybe she's just sleepy. Peter yawned. I am too. We better go, Clara said, getting up. But tomorrow we'll be back. And bring more seedlings. Lucas was already excited again. And a snack, Pedro added, rubbing his belly. They washed their hands under the tap in the backyard and said goodbye. Clara stayed a little longer, observing the plants. The Venus flytrap seemed a little quiet, as if it was waiting for something. Or someone. We'll see you again tomorrow, she murmured. When he entered the house, his mother was in the kitchen. So, how was the garden? It was magical, Clara replied, smiling. Magical. The mother raised an eyebrow. Yeah. The plants are different. They feel things. The mother laughed. Well, at least you had fun. Clara went up to her room, but first she looked out the window. The garden was there, dark, but she swore she saw a faint glow between the leaves. Maybe it was the moonlight. Or maybe the plants were actually awake. The next morning, the four met again at the gate. Pedro already had a package of cookies in his hand. I brought snacks, he announced. And I brought a sensitive plant seedling, Sophia said, showing a bag of soil. Cool. Lucas jumped. Let's see if she shakes for us. Clara opened the gate and they ran into the garden. But they stopped suddenly. Wow, Pedro murmured. The leaves of the nightshade were open, shining in the sun. And in the middle of them, a new flower had grown during the night. Small, purple, almost hidden. She grew up. Sophia pointed. Or appeared, Clara whispered. Lucas approached. Can we play? I think so, Clara replied. But carefully. He stretched out his finger slowly. The little flower didn't move. But when Pedro got close, she shook slightly, as if saying hi. She likes you, Lucas laughed. Pedro smiled, proud. I'm irresistible. Clara took the sensitive seedling and dug a little hole in the ground. Let's see if she reacts to us. Like this? Pedro asked. She closes the pages when someone touches her, Sophia explained. Like the sleeper? Lucas frowned. More or less. But faster. They planted the sensitive and waited. Clara touched a small leaf with the tip of her finger. In the blink of an eye, the leaves closed, like a fan folding. Wow. Pedro jumped back. She's really alive. Lucas widened his eyes. Sophia laughed. Everything is here. They spent the morning planting, touching the leaves and laughing at the plant's reactions. Even the Venus flytrap seemed more excited, opening and closing its mouths as if it were talking. Do they understand us? Pedro asked, looking at the carnivorous plant. I don't know, Clara replied. But I think they know when we like them. Lucas picked up a stick and poked the earth. What if we make a stone path? Like a maze. Good idea. Sophia clapped her hands. We are going to need more stones, Pedro said. And more plants, Clara added. And so, the magical garden began to grow. Not just in size, but in secrets. Because, as Clara had said, those plants were not common. They listened, they felt, they reacted. And sometimes they even seemed to respond. At the end of the day, when the sun began to set again, the four of them sat down on the grass, tired and happy. "Tomorrow we'll bring more things," Lucas said. "And more food," Pedro yawned. "And more magic," Sophia smiled. Clara looked at the garden. The leaves of the ottoman were already beginning to close, as if they were saying goodbye, or keeping secrets for the next day. "See you tomorrow," she whispered. And the plants, as if understanding, swayed slightly in the wind. The three friends stood up slowly, their feet tingling after sitting for so long. The sky was painted orange and purple, as if someone had spilled paint on the clouds. "Did you see?" Sophia pointed to a clump of pampas grass. He moved when Clara spoke. "I saw it," Lucas laughed. "It looked like he was dancing." Pedro scratched his head. "Do they like us?" Clara shrugged. "Or they're just curious." "Like us." They walked to the gate, but before leaving, Sophia stopped. "Wait." She ran back and grabbed a handful of dirt from the garden. "To take a little of the magic home." "Good idea," Pedro imitated, putting his hands in the ground. "Who knows, maybe we can make a mini garden in my backyard." Lucas rolled his eyes. "Or we wake up tomorrow and this was all just a dream." Clara threw a pebble at him. "Stop being pessimistic." The four of them laughed, but deep down, they all had the same doubt. Would the garden be there the next day? Or would, as Lucas said, everything go up in smoke? When they got home, Sophia hid the dirt under her pillow. "Just in case," she murmured. That night, their dreams were filled with rustling leaves, flowers that glowed in the dark, and roots that danced like snakes. And somewhere, the garden waited. Still. Alive. As if he knew they would come back. The next day, Pedro woke up to a strange noise. It looked like a scratch on the window. He rubbed his eyes and saw a green leaf moving outside. It was one of the garden plants, curled around the railing as if trying to get in. "Guys," he called, a little groggily. "Wake up." Clara was the first to get up. He rubbed his eyes and let out a little scream. "Look at this." Lucas and Sophia joined them. Outside, Pedro's yard was different. It wasn't the same huge garden as before, but small seedlings were sprouting in corners that were empty yesterday. A purple flower glowed near the fence. A vine climbed the wall, with leaves that looked like they were made of velvet. "I said it was a dream," Lucas murmured, but his voice shook a little. "So we all dreamed the same?" Clara nudged him. Sophia ran to the bed and pulled up the pillow. The earth was still there, but now there was a little green sprout coming out of it. She smiled. It wasn't a dream. Pedro opened the back door slowly, as if he were afraid of scaring the plants. They didn't run away. In fact, some leaves turned towards him, as if recognizing him. "Hi," he said, softly. A little yellow flower opened right in front of him, as if saying hi back. Clara knelt down near a plant with leaves that looked like coins. He touched one of them and felt a warm sensation at his fingertips. She's really alive. Lucas, still suspicious, poked a root that snaked across the ground. She flinched instantly. "Do you see? It even moves." "But how did it get here?" Pedro scratched his head. Sophia looked at the sprout in her hand. "I think the garden chose us." At that moment, a breeze passed by and the leaves rustled. It was almost as if they were laughing. "And now?" Clara asked. Pedro looked at his friends. "Now we take care of them." Lucas sighed, but didn't complain. He picked up an old watering can from the corner of the yard. "It's okay. But if this is witchcraft, I want a spell that will do my homework on its own." The four laughed. And, as they watered the plants, they realized that the garden wasn't just magical. It was theirs. And that was even more incredible.